Hello and welcome to another session of Music Matters with Ev. Hope everyone is okay. And this interview that we're going to have right now is more proof of the power of music to get people together or keep people together. So I'm pleased, more than pleased, to welcome to the interview a brilliant musician and singer-songwriter called Frazer Harris. Frazer, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thanks. Happy to be here. Yeah, good to
Welcome.
see your face.
Welcome.
Thank you.
The reason why this is proof that music keeps people together is because we planned this in 2020, I think towards the latter part of 2020, when
I
you
think
were
so.
on the other side of the world, and it never transpired, but here we are.
We finally made it. Yeah, down the line. Yeah, it takes some time, but yeah, let's do it. Um,
Okay, let's
yeah.
go. So, Fraser, for those who don't know, tell
Yeah.
us who you are and where you're from.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Fraser. I'm a singer-songwriter from a little village called Birdlet, which is in the Cotswold Hills outside Cheltenham and Gloucester. But I've operated throughout Bristol and the southwest. Um, I've been in New Zealand for the last 2.5 years. Got there just before the pandemic hit and lucked out pretty much. Found one of the best places to be during the craziness. And whilst I was out there, I was making my debut album, and I've come home to uh, promote it and release it. So um, yeah. What else to go into? I suppose I think of
Well,
myself.
hold on. That's
Also,
that's
yeah.
that's that's given us a lot of
Okay.
food for questions.
Sure. Yeah. You
but,
stop me at any point.
but but before we get to New Zealand, because that sounds really, really exciting. Before
Hmm.
we get there, when did you start your music career? When did you realize that, hey, I've got something and I'm gonna work with this?
And I'm good. So I would say I was about 20, 21. I was late to music. I picked up a guitar. I was just about turning 17. And about 21, it just all came to me. And I was like, right, I've got to make an album. I've got to get out there and gig. This is what I meant to be doing. It was almost like I had no choice in the matter. It was like, it's this or nothing else. And so yeah, from about 21, that's where I started gigging, and learning how to be on stage, really, and how to write music, and trying to get in touch with that creative side of me.
So
Yeah.
take us back. I met
Okay.
you in Blagden at an open mic in Blagden.
Yeah. Where is Blackton? I can't even remember.
So hold on. So hold on. Were you teleported there then? So Blagden is halfway between Bristol and mm, probably Cheddar. Little way between Bristol and Cheddar,
Right.
and it's sort of towards the. It's to the name escapes me. It's got a famous, not famous. It's got a well-known name or series of villages, but we used to do an open mic there once a month, and I saw you there because I know your father, and he was
Yes.
in the band that I was playing in with Tina Plukino, and I interviewed your father last time as well, David Harris. So
Nice.
I met you there. So when I saw you at that open mic, how long had you been gigging and performing publicly then?
Oh, probably at most a year.
Wow.
Um, I'd say at most a year. Yeah, I'd really kind of done nothing, and then it was like, right, I've got to do as much as I can wherever I can, really. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow. That's impressive with just about a year's experience, because when I listened to you, you sounded very accomplished, very, very accomplished. I was
thanks.
impressed. I was just thinking, wow, this because some of the songs that you were playing and I've known you play since then,
Hmm.
they really give us an insight into how someone who's dedicated to their craft can create
Yeah.
something very magical and technical. That's the word, magical and technical,
Thanks
as
very
well as
much.
awesome sounding. So,
I'll have to remember that if I'm not feeling confident.
oh yeah, you've got to remember that. So, since then, was
Yeah,
that because after that it was like a couple of years, or maybe a few more than a couple of years.
yeah.
So, what brought the urge to go to the other side of the world, as it were? What how did that pan out?
How did that pan out? Well, I'd been working hard, writing and gigging, but it was my personal life really. It was things that happened with my family and with my home, and a lot of chapters coming to an end. And I decided I needed a fresh start. I was burnt out really. Didn't have much energy, but there's a lot of things I wanted to do. So I went for a new change, and New Zealand, ever since I was a kid, was the place I wanted to go. So I had a friend over there, and I just got a visa, and then a month later, pretty much got on the plane and landed. That was how it started, really.
So,
Just
did you
yeah.
have any idea of what you were going to do? Was it just like a suck it and see tour, or
It was. I had the idea that I'd arrive and I'd travel around doing a bit of a tour and just having as much fun as I wanted. Carefree, traveling around, bit irresponsible, I suppose. Not thinking about work. Which I did. I did a great tour, and I met some fantastic people from all over the world. And that was for about 6 weeks.
Mhm.
And then COVID it hit. I had no idea that it was all happening, because we were in a little bubble where we're just traveling around, and no one was talking about it. And I found myself in an area called Fiordland, which is far south, and it's wilderness pretty much. But we're in a little town in a hostel, and then suddenly everything's cancelled, everything's closed. So a few of us who were traveling around, we rented a car and drove a bit north, just about 3 hours north, to a ski town where we could rent a flat together, and we did that, and that's where I started my lockdown.
So I was going to say, how did you cope during 2020 and 2021 when everything was closed, literally?
The first few months was hard. Everyone I was living with, they decided to go back to Europe because they were on different visas and different situations. I decided to stick it out, so I did about 2 months, maybe 2.5, pretty much in solitude. I didn't know anyone. I couldn't meet anyone, and that was a testing time. It was great
Mm,
because I I started what is now my debut album.
mm,
That's where it all came flooding out of me
mm,
after a period of writer's block. It finally ended, and got really creative. Um, After that 2 month period, everything changed, and I was one of the lucky ones, really, because I had friends who were also living in New Zealand, and they moved to the town that I was in. So we moved in together, and the world New Zealand kind of opened up. So
mm.
we were skiing and living in the mountains. So I had time to just enjoy myself and write music. Um, and so my story for COVID-19 and the pandemic has been quite different, I think, to a lot of people, because for me it was the most fun I was having in my 20s. but
That's
I didn't but I didn't want to project that out too much back home, because I knew
mm,
everyone was having a very tough time, whereas
mm,
I was having the best time.
mm.
So I try not to be too smug about it.
Oh, that's cool. That's really
Yeah,
cool. It sounds
yeah,
like that's the best situation to be in a time like that. And
yeah.
the wonderful thing is that, as you said, the album writing started to progress and take shape and form. So that again is another example of how sometimes solitude is necessary before creativity can kick back in again.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a few periods where I've gone into seclusion, I suppose, not total seclusion, but I've wanted to live on my own, where I could dive deep into whatever I was trying to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go from there
Hmm.
up until now.
Yeah.
Why, how did you decide, or you obviously decided to return to the UK?
Yeah.
Was there a reason for that, or was it just that you felt that your hiatus had naturally come to an end?
I suppose that was part of it. I had always intended to come back, because I wanted to release in my home country, and I wanted to come back and show myself again. I suppose it was I'd say mostly an instinctual feeling, gut feeling. It was like, I love New Zealand and there's lots going for it, but I belong back home. This is where I have to have the next chapter has to come back home. I knew more people. There's more going on to feed a career, I suppose. But that being said, the people I made my album with, they just, I learned so much from them, and they've enhanced my musical experience just so much. I'm just so grateful for the team I had over there, and the people I made the album with, which we can get into more. But
That's awesome. So, how long have you been back in the UK?
Probably about 2 months. I got back end of March, just before my 30th birthday. So I came back to celebrate that with friends and family. And yeah, so now I'm just I focused on making a record, because although New Zealand, we could do a lot of things, there wasn't much gigs going on. It would it would go into stages of lockdown. So sometimes there wouldn't be anything on, other times there would. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm focusing on content creation. And then I'm going to return home, and now I am. That's where I'm preparing my marketing and my release schedules, and pretty much putting all the groundwork in for that, so that when I relaunch myself, I'm equipped, and when I am doing my shows, people have my portfolio and my channels to respond to.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that leads us on to, what advice would you give someone who is hoping to follow in your shoes and become a active singer-songwriter, musician, artist?
What advice? Okay. Two things spring to mind. One is having the commitment and the passion. It's a tough game. It's 24/7. You have to really want it, and there's gonna be obstacles all the time, and you have to just meet them and climb up them, scramble up them. So that kind of desire and commitment is one thing. And what I've learned more so in the last 3 years is the right people. No man is an island. So get the right people involved, and try and collect others with creative skills, and work with them. I think other creatives are going to bring the best out of you. So surround yourself with the right people.
Wow. If this was a seminar, I think you would have concluded it with those two bits of advice. Excellent. So thank you for that, and we will definitely keep reiterating that to the up and coming artists, because you're absolutely right. It's not a bed of roses, and you've got to really have the desire and the commitment, as you said, to keep pushing against the odds. And Yeah, obviously everyone, we all need each other to, and other people to pull through. Okay, so you mentioned about laying out the groundwork or the social structure, I would call it,
Okay.
before you then take the bull by the horns and start to perform and
Yeah.
promote actively. So,
Yes.
in terms of your groundwork, does that involve anything? Does it tell us what that involves?
Tell us. Okay. That's been the tricky part, I suppose, figuring out what that means. So on the one hand, so I've got my record, the actual the release, which is the end target to give that out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then everything that needs to support it. So on the one hand, I'm talking to I've got a marketing whiz who's helping me out just to create a strategy to engage fans, build a fan base, and share my story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I suppose I'm developing content,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be artwork,
Mm-hmm.
videos that give insights into who I am,
Mm-hmm.
live sessions. I'm making music videos with a videographer he's been a great help.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose it's so I'm collecting all these pieces together, and then I'm trying to create a narrative as to who I am
Mm-hmm.
and why people should care about my
Mm-hmm.
music.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that doesn't necessarily come naturally to me, but that's the sort of groundwork. I took myself off social media for a while because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to come back with an impact,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't need. I'm not going to wait till I have everything finished,
Mm-hmm.
but I just wanted enough that it looked the part and was I suppose professional, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that in my mind is the groundwork, and I'm also learning from others who have done this thing before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good because I've been watching and attending a few seminars on the music business, as it
Hmm.
were. And I think the most prolific thing that has come out is the fact that it's no longer just about music.
No.
It it's about you. You are
Yeah.
the brand,
Yeah.
and your music is a gateway or a portal to the brand. So
Exactly.
you have you are going in the right way. You've definitely decided on the right strategy
Well, thank
to,
you.
yeah, definitely to come back and offer the potential listeners and fans, etc., something that they can get hold of and keep tuned into. So that's very good. Very good to hear that.
Thank you. I hope so. Yeah, it's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you told me about the album,
Hmm.
I asked you where could I go and buy it,
You did.
and
You
then you
did.
said it's not available yet.
It's
So,
not available.
how
That's
long do we have to wait?
how long. I think towards the end of the year.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna release it at the end of the year, um, as soon as possible, really.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Fair enough.
yeah, but when I'm back online, there's going to be content coming. So
Good.
there's going to
Good.
be before that. There's going to be things to sink your teeth into for the listener, for the audience,
Oh, that's good.
and there's gigs coming as well. So um, uh, yeah, the next 6 months there'll be things to see. I suppose I
Excellent.
can say it like that. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, this is gonna sound a little bit strange in the sense that it's been 2 years since 2020. And when I did these interviews during 2020, because
Yeah.
it was something so different for the whole world, I asked the artist that if 2020 was a human being, what would you say to him or her? So
What would
I
I
feel
say?
I feel obliged to ask you, what would you say?
That you put me on the spot there. What would I say? My instinct is chill out.
Yeah, yeah,
Take a step back, you know.
I could imagine you saying that.
A little perspective, please. Yeah.
Yes. See, that's so cool. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I've covered everything that I wanted, the salient features I wanted to bring out, because
Okay.
these interviews are designed to give people an idea into you and your art, and also the background to what actually happens. What's it like being an
Okay.
artist and trying to deliver music performance and content,
Yeah.
so that people can realize that we are real people and we go through real issues. So
Yeah.
maybe if we can just have a look at two things now.
Okay.
So far, I want you to describe one of the lows,
Yeah. Sure.
and then we're going to finish on one of the highs.
One of the lows, one of the highs.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Um, what would be the low? I think the low, for me at least, is patches where I I don't believe in myself. You know, I'm scared to put myself out there, or in other words, I'm not taking myself seriously. You know, it could be that, oh, I should be further along by now. I should be making, more money from this. Um, and sometimes yeah, I've had patches where I was sort of 25 to 27. I'd say was a patch where I was really, I changed from my younger self, who was much more brash and confident and less skilled, but more confident. And as I got better, I seemed to question myself more. So I suppose, I think, yeah, about pre-COVID, it was kind of scared to go out and find those gigs and really sort of push myself. I was always holding back, and I felt that that was a low because it was going against what I knew I was meant to be doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't have so much of a specific, but I think just that
Okay.
burn, yeah, but maybe just making feeling like that and making demos, but not getting it right. I'm
Okay.
waffling now, so I'll stop
No,
there.
no, no. It's
Yeah,
okay. It's
yeah,
important because a lot of people assume that
hmm,
it's plain sailing and it's always a sunny road. And
mm,
I think a lot of artists and creatives, the best or the most meaningful results come from the lows, from
right,
analyzing the lows or
mm,
getting through the lows. And
yeah,
that's why it's always good to hear what people have gone through
yeah,
and so on. And it's, when you mentioned about doubting yourself,
yeah,
I believe that that is a constant factor in anyone's creative pursuits,
yeah,
because you always, if you're a bit of a perfectionist, you're always going to say, well, this could be better.
always,
When everyone
always.
around you is thinking, no, that was awesome, and you're saying, no, I think
That's
I could do
me. That's me. Yeah, for sure. That's me.
it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, it's not perfect. I'm a failure.
So thank you for that. All right, so now the high. There's many
Okay,
highs, I know, but just give us an inkling on one.
on one.
Yeah,
Okay, I've got a moment. I was in Wellington, New Zealand, and
yeah,
it'd been a year of on-off recording. My
right,
dream of making an album for the past, well, for my entire 20s.
yeah.
Um, I finally finished the recording.
Oh,
Last vocal was done. I walked out the session, gave my producer a hug and thanked him for everything he was helping me with. and I walked up. There's a hill called Mount Victoria, which is right next to the center of the city.
Okay.
And I walked to the top, and then you turn around, and you see the coast, and you see Wellington, you see mountains behind it, and I just felt, so I felt powerful. I suppose it's like, finally I've done it. I've climbed that mountain, that metaphorical mountain. I've finally finished what I set out to do when I was 20, 21. And it took me a lot longer, but it's better than I ever thought I was going to make it. And this is something I believe in. And I was laughing and crying at the same time. You ever had that experience?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did you get any footage? Because that's a powerful image you've created there.
Is it? I didn't. I was by myself. In that instance, I had just done a week of singing 6-7 hours a day, and I put my all into it. So I was exhausted, and no, I had no footage. But I just remember the sun was setting, and it was just pink and golden. And there was a moment where there's a lot of birds in New Zealand, and one flew right in front of me and landed on a branch. And it's a tui, which is one of their iconic birds, and it's known as the songbird. And I just saw it as a nice sort of synchronicity. It's like the songbird came to me in that moment.
Wow.
It was more of it was a private moment of victory, I suppose, because all of the struggle, because it was painful. I loved it, but making it was painful. It came from that sort of, transforming hurt into something beautiful. So that's what it meant to me, I suppose. And it was a private moment that I've not spoke about really since then. So
well, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you. That was awesome. Just the imagery you described. I was thinking, wow, what a way to end a creative session, seasons of seasons of sessions.
Yeah. It was. I suppose I looked at the site, and it was like, this is where I made it. This is where I came, and this is where I made it, and I didn't want to be anywhere else. So.
Excellent. Well, Frazer Harris, thank you very much for agreeing to this interview. And we will do more, because if we've got to wait until the end of the year for the album, and you're going to be active in between now and then we need to catch up with you again, and keep tabs on where we can see you and things like that, and the output and so on. But for now, thank you very much for giving us this insight into who you are and your artistry. And until next time, take care.
Thanks very much. Appreciate your time.